Okay, good morning, everybody. I will briefly share my screen. Welcome to the monthly all hands update for the WEF WISE project. And not to waste too much time, this is our agenda. I will very quickly provide an update on the pilot projects, and then we'll have a presentation by the WEF marketing team, and a presentation from Nohemy Revilla from San Francisco on the pilot project and the progress she's made on the onboarding assets process, and we'll have an open discussion after that. So as you can see, these are different pilot improvement efforts that are going on in different utilities. So what we'll hear about from Nohemy is this one, asset onboarding, the process that San Francisco is working on. So we will start with the presentation from the WEF team, and I'll let Jennifer and Zoe introduce themselves. And let me, Jennifer and Zoe, did you want me to move the slides for you, or you want me to pass control to you so you can share your screen? What is your preference?
I can go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, I will then stop sharing my screen and you can share your screen.
And
go ahead.
While Zoe's doing that, I'll do the introductions. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you today. Thank you for the inclusion on the meeting. I've met Cello and Mark, and I've been working with Lisa at WEF, who is our partner in crime. I'm the head of marketing department at WEF. My name is Jennifer Mata. I came from different backgrounds, I would say, working in government at the World Bank and United Nations, then working in associations as head of the marketing department, as well as the private sector in pharmaceuticals, working with public health, Fortune 500 companies in marketing. All my career has been in commercial marketing. So pleasure to meet you all. That's a little bit about me. I oversee all the WEF products and services, and programs marketing. So WISE is one of the many things we take care of here.
Wonderful. And I am, okay, so perfect. So nice for the introduction. I'm Zoe Bright. I am a marketing manager at Water Science Engineering, and I've been working with the WISE team and Jennifer on this project. So we have some exciting news and plans for marketing and promoting WISE this year. And so I'm going to get started with some of those, our plans and strategies. Did anybody have anything else, or I can just jump in?
Just speak up because you're a little soft.
Me. So that, okay, I'm going to talk a lot louder. I apologize. Can you hear me
That's better
now?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I'll talk louder. I'm not sure what's going on with the mic, but thank you. So perfect. So we're going into the agenda. WISE 2023 marketing plan. We're looking at a marketing plan for the next, a 90-day marketing plan. So 3 months marketing plan from May through July. And again, this is ongoing. We're going to look at, how this campaign performed, and continuous improvements. So we're starting in May. We're going to begin with an email campaign, and I will cover a couple of different strategies that we'll be using. One of them is email. And so we have different targeted audiences, including utilities and consultants within the WEF community that are WEF members, or have, if they're not members, but they're part of our community, they attend WEF Tech, or we have specialty conferences as well, like UMC that's going on. So part of this email campaign will go out to these target audience for, you know, promoting WISE and sharing WISE on the greater scale. And so these emails, we're looking at monthly blast, and this is in May, and we have one set for June and July. So email blasts throughout this 3-month campaign. So moving forward, we are also looking at social media. So WEF has, you know, we have a lot of different social channels. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and our community engages with us on these channels. So this is all about multi-channel marketing. So we're going to go into through the email channel and then through social media. We're actually, and later on in this plan, a couple slides down, I'm going to go into an event marketing at the NACWA event in July. And we want to share this on socials and share WISE on socials around this event so that we are using our social media to get the word out about WISE in a greater way. And then our WEF Smart Brief newsletter placements. This is another newsletter that WEF puts out. So I did mention email marketing, but we also have newsletters that are, these are daily newsletters that WEF puts out. And what these are all about, this is like a, you know, I'm going to say, you know, let's say you subscribe to the Washington Post or Wall Street Journal. Well, we have another newsletter that's kind of like, it has all of the water news and everything within it. And so we're putting WISE into that WEF newsletter as well. So in addition to the segmented email targeted email blast that we are sending out, the full email will just be about WISE. It's not going to be part of a mixture. We're also sharing WISE on newsletters in our Smart Brief. So that's kind of what the Smart Brief is all about. It's this news place where the latest in the water, what's happening in water and utilities and, you know, in the water industry is being shared. So we're going to put WISE also in the Smart Brief newsletter, and these are the dates that we had planned. Then wef.org/WISE. If you haven't checked it out, we've definitely updated the WEF website, and that also included the WISE page. And so during this campaign, we want to increase the visibility and the awareness and marketability of the WISE, you know, wef.org/WISE. People, you know, sharing these links on social media, emails, letting people know this is a place where they can go learn more about WISE. We have the brochures, we have the videos there. The page is there, and we want to send traffic to that web page, you know, so that will also help, you know, when you get more clicks on a site, it's SEO, lots of things. So we want to get the word out that there's this resource. And of course, on the web page, there's an option to sign up. So, you know, sharing that and getting more visibility there. We're going to do a push for that. Now we have lots of MAs throughout, you know, WEF. We have our member associations. And so we're going to aim, WEF will aim to have WISE. Well, we want to have WISE to have a presence with our member associations, journals, and newsletters. So we have about 5 WEF utility management committees at the MA level that we really want to target. We're doing some more research, but looking at from a geo-targeted standpoint, because our utilities are in, our member associations are in pretty much every state, but we're in mostly all states. So we're doing a geo-targeted approach. Which of the utilities would have which of the MAs would have the most utilities or the biggest, you know, reach for our target audience. And then, so we're going to aim to have a presence in the member associations journals, and newsletters. So these MAs have their own journals and also newsletter email campaigns that go out. So this is yet again another opportunity to get on the ground and really get involved on the MA level, so that smaller community outreach as well. So then again, continuing. So this is, I touched base about this a little bit earlier, but NACWA is coming up, and it's a huge conference, and the conference is actually the target audience of this conference, and the people that are invited are utility leaders, which is perfect for WISE. So we are aiming to have a presence at NACWA. This is a huge part of this marketing plan. We've already reached out to them, and so there's multiple opportunities. We're looking for a speaking opportunity, and that's part of what we're going to share with our community. So it's not just going to be the NACWA community people that attend there. We're also going to share this event and our sub-event within it with the WEF community. So we are looking, that is on July 11th through the 14th. So NACWA.org, if you haven't heard about it, it's it basically, they have this conference that goes on every year. And this is going to be their 53rd annual meeting. And again, it's all about utilities. It has our ideal target audience. And it's in Kentucky, and we are looking to get a speaking, a booth, we're looking at multiple opportunities to promote, and we're going to have a little bit more details on that moving forward, but that's the event that we want to really launch WISE at. It's in July. So that pretty much, I would say that sums up this 90-day marketing plan. And then from here, we can follow up. We also have, WEF Tech's coming up. There's lots of other events. We want to look at our strategies and analyze our data, and then, do continuous improvements. So I am actually going to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, it gives us 15 more minutes for the poll. So maybe Cello, back to you.
Thank you. I hope that you see on the screen where you can go if you're joining the poll on your computer. You can use the link and then use this code, or you can use this QR code if you're doing it on the phone. Either way, it should work. Let me know if if anybody has trouble with that. Once you go there, you should see a question that looks like this. And then the first question is, as we go forward, it's in everybody's interest to get more members, more collaboration, and so forth. So as far, you've heard about the marketing campaign. Thank you. We're already getting some suggestions. So it's important to hear what you, as existing WISE partners, see as key benefits that should be promoted. So we'll just wait here. There's no limit on the answers that you can provide. So, everybody's encouraged to respond. And I will just make this a little bigger. And this will also be a guidance to us, your input. That's why we want to hear your voice.
We're off to a good start. 5 people are in, but a lot of the rest of you should try to get in and give your feedback.
Yeah, so I'll keep this up for a little while. It's kind of important. Give it some thought, and we have 4 questions, and this would be really, this is really good.
Marco was asking Cello if we could put the link in the chat.
Oh, yeah, okay. Give me just a second. I will do that.
It looks like Nohemy just put it in. Is that right, Nohemy?
Yes.
And there's
Yeah.
the code. I just added the code to the chat as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So you can just copy the code and follow the link.
Nice job.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I'm in. Thank you.
All right. So we have about 10 suggestions, which is really, really good. And let me see the time. Okay, I will then go to the, go to the next slide. And this slide, you will just rank, in your opinion, you know how what utilities are paying attention to and so forth. So these are 5 different components of possible marketing. If you could just say, in your own opinion, which ones are, not effective at all, from which is a 1, or very effective in 5, so that we can see from sort of the user perspective, or the, the core, what, how you feel about it. So we'll just keep this up for a little bit to get some feedback. I'll try to refrain from feeling uncomfortable about silence and telling silly stories, so I'll just let you click on things.
Yeah, there are 9 people in right now. If you
10.
have
10
or 10 now, if you're not,
11, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so that's great. If you could also send a memo to Cello, or you could put it in chat if you're not using Mentimeter.
Say
Hi,
Cello.
Mark.
Yeah, why don't I tell one of my light bulb jokes while we're waiting for more people to put their responses in?
Okay.
All right, so how many psychiatrists does it take to change the light bulb? Only 1, but the light bulb has to really want to change.
Okay.
I'll take it. Everybody's muted and laughing. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. So
you're welcome. I'm happy to
we
fill
have
these awkward voids with more awkwardness.
it's okay. So we got about half of people who, of course, responded to this. Zoe, should I go forward to the next question? What do you think?
So I think this is, it looks like we're getting sessions, workshops at conferences. Well, webinars is the first, with the WISE partners presenting. And then I know we have done webinars in the past. So that's something we can, and then also the workshops. So that's part of what we presented. Okay, love it.
Yeah, I think we can take this feedback, offline per question and sleep on it for a second, let the dust settle, as they say, and
that's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
So this question is, as far as getting the proper support and being able for utilities to engage, which one of these audiences do you think is least promising audience, and the ones that the marketing effort should be focused more heavily, to just kind of find the demographics?
Yeah, if I may add to this, like, who really is your purchaser? Keep that in mind, because you want to influence that person. not just the person who uses it, but also the person who purchases wise.
Yeah, makes the decision to join. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would think about it as, you know, who do you need in your organization? Whose support do you need in your organization so you can make WISE a part of your ongoing way that you do business, the way that your utility operates. I have another light bulb joke if you'd like.
Okay, we have 10 in. We'll give a little bit more time. And I think there's only one more question after that. After this one.
So Cello, are you a fan of surrealism, the painting style?
Maybe some of it, yeah.
So how many surrealists does it take to change a light bulb?
I have no idea.
The fish.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
You mean the fish in a tank, like Nemo, Finding Nemo situation?
It's surreal.
It's
It's
whatever you
surrealism.
want it to be.
It's
Right.
whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, so we have 12. In the interest of time, let me just see. I'll give it just a few more seconds, but I think this is.
It sounds like Cello, more people are leaning towards the mid-management executive level. Actually, they're almost equal here at 4.3. And then SMEs in utilities are the winner.
Yeah. So this is, again, a free form where you can just contribute your ideas, to the marketing team and in terms of, so it's free form. Again, you can just type in whatever you like, and that will be, I think Mike Barnett showed us a fish in the chat window, but don't let that distract you.
And if I can help that question, often I
Sure.
think, honestly, the whole country, right? And we have already people who signed up from Virginia, from Maryland. I mean, who comes to mind in terms of state-wise and utilities that you think if we are to focus down our efforts, we can't go after the entire country? I did some geo analysis here and I saw most folks are on the East Coast, but there's some in the state of California and Colorado. Like, what comes to mind when you think WISE, right? Who are those utilities? Where are they? Are they big? Are they small? Right? Who is your low-hanging fruit? That's really what the question is also about here.
Oh, good. We got the first one, example case studies. That's really good. Emails. Okay, we'll keep this up for a while. We have 3 or 4 minutes left in this segment, and then we're gonna see some really cool stuff from Nohemy.
And I want to encourage the group to, this is great. This is talking about channels, like how to do it. But I would encourage also to the point I was just making is the who. Who are we going after? We saw some job titles and senior management, mid-management, but think about as well, like the where in this country, like geo-targeting. If I'm sending those emails, if we are networking, what are we doing? Is it more East Coast, West Coast, mid-country, South, North? Are they big or small? So if I can see some answers towards those questions, and maybe there are different questions than this, and we can talk about it when we're done with this question.
Yeah, and one thing we can do, Jennifer, is we will follow up in an email to all the people. We have 120 on the list, so we can ask them to offer their thoughts on these additional points that you make. Okay, work with regional groups. That's excellent. Yeah. Okay, so there are 2 minutes left. Let me just conclude this. Oops. And we will now go to, give me just 1 minute, please. Our next item, which is Nohemy, and I will stop sharing my screen, and Nohemy will share her screen. Hi, Nohemy.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen 1 second. Give me a little while to do this.
There you go.
Excellent. We can see it.
Okay. I have been working with the team Wise, especially with Cello and Mike Barnett on developing the pilots that we decided to do during this time this year. And we started with asset onboarding. However, I have to say that we call it asset onboarding, but at the same time, while developing this, we had to develop at least 2 more business process models. And those are the decommissioning assets, right? Because they're they go hand in hand whenever you do an asset onboarding. Sometimes you have to decommission assets. And at the same time, we worked on O&M manuals, right? Operation and maintenance manuals for those assets. So those business process models had to be developed at the same time. So this presentation is it takes it shows the background, how the things were developed, and all the items that go into developing a business process model. So
Excuse me, Nohemy. Rick Galilee from Vancouver has raised his hand. Maybe he has a question. Rick, did you have a question?
Sorry, Cello, that was a misplaced click.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay,
so you'll see at the end of this presentation that we had a different type of we capture the model, the how we do asset onboarding in a different way and how that was developed. But normally what we start doing, we start this process by saying, well, we need to communicate with people how things are done, right? How, how all the steps that need to be done, especially putting a construction contract, for example. That's how we onboard our assets, right? That's how you install new assets into in your facility, for example. So you start by an idea of improving that process, or making sure that you capture all the steps, right? And at the same time, you say, well, okay, this is how we do it right now, right? Like us, this is the existing way we do it, and how we can change it. So we had many different documents and things with steps before, and we decided to do it. Once I joined Wise and learn about business process modeling, we decided to make it in this way of presenting and sharing information, right? And at the same time, as we went through this process, the collaboration also made us make the process a lot better. We got inputs from some other people and shareholders, so we could make it better. So we made improvements along the way as well. Here. So normally, when you have a process, or like things in your work group, you have different maturity levels. Sometimes you know, the way we share information in our workplaces is, you know, it's, well, you know, I have it in my head, right? It's, you know, the maturity there is kind of, it's kind of the initial phase, right? I have a lot of things in my head, but if we don't share it, you know, if that person goes away, you know, you kind of, you have to start from scratch. Some teams have a little more managed maturity, and that means, you know, the people, the knowledge is shared among team members, right? So it's a little better, but you know, it's if you don't have it completely established or standardized, like in the next step, right? Then, you know, you can also maybe be working in silos without sharing all that information properly, right? So when you have the standard, you know, the process, you know, process have been well defined and documented. And that's what we did with this process. You know, and I share what I, you know, what we have now. Then the next maturity levels are predictable level, where processes are managed quantitatively based on measured based on measurement and feedback, right? So, you know, so a lot of, you know, you start getting metrics into your process and things like that. We're not just that there, but, you know, there are some processes that we do have metrics for. And then there's the innovating level, where organizations practice continuous improvement, right? So you have like a feedback loop at the end. So these are the things that we actually do when we do a business process modeling, and these are the things that we include in. And I'll show these little steps or, you know, things along when I explain my business, you know, that what we did in the business process modeling for our case. Oops, we go through. So it includes context for the process. You know, normally, you know, you have to see it as a higher process. Sometimes it's different process altogether that need to be tied in, and you'll see that. Then you have activities for each steps or all the steps that you have in your process. Then also the sequence and relationship between the activities, the workflows. So it's got a little bit of workflow. Sometimes you have to make decisions, right? And those are captured in your business process. Then you also identify the participants and stakeholders and their roles and responsibilities. That is also captured as part of the process. And then what information do you need? You know, what data do you need? What, you know, so you can make those decisions. The technology that you need to, and in this case, you know, we use SharePoint and Maximo. The inputs to the process, and the outputs and deliverables, and the metrics. And how do you measure success? However, you know, this is not yet part of our system, but hopefully in the future. Okay, so why doing this? This, you know, what I explained before in the previous slide, make the business process modeling notation, is that's how it's called, an essential tool for sharing. So I think these documents have at least allow us in San Francisco PUC Wastewater Enterprise to share, you know, from the information among the stakeholders and to other people that need to know about this. And then all the models that we, you know, that we use in WISE in the group normally follow BPMN. BPMN is an ISO standard, and it's widely adopted by many organizations. I have seen many presentations about this. It is well established, right? Technology, or I don't know process or documentation. And one of the things that I really like about the BPMN is that it ain't, you have to think a little different, and you have to be accurate and you have to be concise. And so that allows you for precision and clarity when you describe your process and your documents and things that you have to use for this. So this is what we have. This is one of the, like I said, this is what we develop. However, here you can only see one page. It's actually at the beginning we had different, we had the onboarding assets and the decommissioning assets, and it became just one document because they go along with each other at the same time, right? So let's, I'm gonna go into a little more detail. I'm not going to explain this because it's super complicated, and it's targeted to what we do in wastewater enterprise, San Francisco PUC wastewater enterprise, right? And how we do the onboarding the assets. But what I'm gonna explain the different details of this process so you can understand a little better. So this is what it means: business process model and notation. The main things about the way this this communication tool is kind of organized is that you have swim lanes, right? So you have the people that need, like the main actors in this show. So you have in this case you have included the project engineer and the project team. We have this OEM liaison that is kind of the operation representative in our group, and some other important people, for this particular process. So, these are the participants, their stakeholders and their roles and what they do, right? So that's how it's captured. Then the activities. So remember when I talked about concise, precise, like you need to be very precise and concise. You have to be accurate. So the activities, the way you describe the activities need to be very short, and with, and normally you start with the action, right? Provide, request, those kind of things. Those are the activities, and they're assigned to the particular swim lanes. And then, you also need to capture the technology systems and the information, right? So in this case, like I mentioned, we use SharePoint for kind of dealing with the communication, right? For sharing information. And then we have Maximo too. And let's, and then we also remember that we said, well, decisions are important, and you kind of sometimes you are faced with things that need to to be decided when you do your process, right? In this case, for example, the engineering technical service, when they get a request for the OEM liaison, they have to decide whether is this a new an existing OLC that needs a new number because of new standards, or is this asset need to be demolished, or this is a new OLC. OLC is kind of the number that we use for a particular asset that is called operating location code. And so the same thing goes for the maintenance planning. They are in charge of putting things in Maximo. So whenever we do onboarding an asset and an asset number, they have to ask these questions before assigning the asset and put it into Maximo. And then also one important step or an item in a business process modeling is that you kind of document documents and artifacts that you need for doing your activities, right? So, for example, in this case, you have the photo, you have drawings, you have safety report, you have operation and maintenance manuals, things like that, or some other type of drawing. That you also kind of capture that in your model. And then sometimes, as you saw, your business, your document can be a little cramped, too many activities. So there is this artifact or this tool where you can collapse a particular activity, and you can put it somewhere else or in a different part of the document. So in this case, you have, the OLC to SharePoint, and then, you kind of expand this activity somewhere else. And so you can have your main document a little better, you can read it better. Then, this is also, remember, I said, when we started the onboarding asset process, we said that we were going to have 2 business process models. And then, but at the end, it became just one. We just had to collapse part of it and add this other page to the document, but it's the same document. So it's a collapse, the commission, the OLCs as a collapsed activity, but it became all this. It's kind of it is part of the document, but it's a second business process model at the same time. And then, sorry. So there is another tool that exists in BPMN that you link other activity, I would say, or different. In this case, it's a completely new BPMN where we review draft. When the in this case, I think it's the OEM liaison needs to review the draft operation and maintenance manual submittal when you receive it during a construction contract. And then this is the whole procedure. So there is a tool in BPMN to link other documents, in this case, a BPMN as a separate BPMN in your document. I think I went very fast, actually. So this is how it looks. However, I mean, I know there's many tools you can use. I think for the ones I know, you can use Visio and you can use Signavio. I don't have Signavio, so this is how it looks in Visio, right? And in this case, I want to mention that, for example, when I worked with Cello and Mike, they suggested to use colors, like the colors for these lines, to as a way to indicate emails, because we use a lot of emails. So you still see email, little envelopes here and envelopes here as part of the activity, but we decided to use the line colors to capture that information. So I want to show, I think, see, I forget where, sorry, do I have, yeah, sorry. I forget where exactly I want to show a video that Mike put together for me. But so another thing is that there are other communication tools as part of the model. For example, these black envelopes are like you're sending the message, and the empty envelopes are the ones that are receiving the message. So that's, there are many tools I have learned over time by working with Cello and Mike, and I'm still learning. Oh, I forgot to mention that there is also, when you have the decisions here, you have also a gateway right? So that's representing the routing of the work. And then also the parallel split, I think this is, you know, everything that follows. Forgot to mention that, sorry. Okay, so, you know, I think, you know, one of the things that important things that we have learned from this, you know, this activity, from doing all this, is that, you know, you know, when you go through this, you learn the process, and then you understand there's some things that you need to incorporate in your process because it's not complete. You, when you share and communicate with people, you also you know, you get a little more involvement from the stakeholders. So that has been super important. And the you know, and the other thing is that also you keep improving it, right? Because as you go and think about this and you share it, you know, there are many things that you realize as you go that were not completely well captured here. So again, you know, kind of reaffirming what I have said, the model is used as a communication tool, and it has been actually super useful in our group. You engage stakeholders in the development and review of the model, and ideas about, you know, things in the future emerge during the process, you know, like how things that you can improve, right? So now it is time for me to show you this cool thing. So this was, I don't have Signavio, so that's why Mike did it for me. It doesn't have any sound, but I don't know. So this is the model I just show you. Oh, so this is a commissioning of this. I think it's onboarding assets. So in Signavio, you can simulate your activities. So see, it's here's thinking because he needs to decide, right? So I think in this case, I think Mike decided to use that one. So it goes through this different activities, and again, there is a decision tool here. So the Signavio also, the way I see it, I haven't used it, but I think it will tell you whether your process is well built, and if that doesn't have infinite loops or dead ends. So it's a good tool to help you with, you know, to whether your model is properly built, basically. It has many other tools as well that I have not used yet, but I will in the future. Again, another decision here, yes or no. And then you can see this parallel split, you know, you things, all of the things are done at the same time, or
So one of the things that we've been talking to this cello, we've been talking with Nohemy, is there is a possibility to include, this is why when people sometimes say, oh, we're building a business process map, this is more than a map. This is an actual model that you can simulate. Similarly, how you could simulate a hydraulic model for the sewer system, or a process model for activated sludge or something like that, where you can enter resources, time, and costs for different tasks and simulate how new process will work better than the old process. So we've been having a really wonderful time working with Nohemy on this. She's put together, this represents a lot of institutional knowledge about how things get done.
yeah, thank you, Chalo. And one more thing I want to mention is that, you know, for the longest time since I started kind of doing a little, you know, getting involved in asset management, there was one activity that, you know, we kept asking and asking every time. And then you know, by doing this, we finally were able to answer that question. And now the question was, you know, when does, you know, the maintenance planning team add the job plans and attributes to an asset in Maxi? And so the ad is now capturing here. So to me, only that portion of it, it's just a little box here, was all worth it. But the last thing to close the story and to tell a better story is that, you know, this is what I designed in, you know, I think maybe in 2020, 2021. This was my early way of, before I knew BPMN. So I had my swim lanes. Of course, they were not all of them, right? And it had some timeline, right? So I went from that to this. So it has more twin lanes because all these people are important, right? It doesn't have a timeline per se, but I did a little bit of timeline by, you know, saying, okay, this is by design, by, you know, this much design, you have to have this. This is when you have to start. And because we have the equipment installation that is during construction, that is also representing a little bit of the timeline. So I'm done. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nohemy. And we're open for questions. We have 5 minutes left on for discussion, for questions for Nohemy, for any other questions that you have. So we're monitoring the chat line as well, so you can raise your hand. And so Scott, I'm going to look at the raised hands, and you can maybe monitor the chat line, or Mike, you can
Sure.
monitor the chat line, so that we can kind of split, because one can look only at one of the things. So I don't see any raised hands. Any questions, comments, suggestions for either marketing or for Nohemy?
Okay, there's a raised hand.
Yeah, there's a raised hand. There's a question. How long did it take you to develop this business model, Nohemy?
You know, I don't remember, but probably like 6 months. I mean, yeah, I would say, but I mean, remember, this is not only one document. It became many.
And understand, it is a work in progress. This is something that will evolve as our tools and systems and understanding and evolve.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, you have a raised hand?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so great presentation, Nohemy. Thanks for sharing. Just curious, when you ran that simulation, there was a couple occasions that it sort of chose one pass versus the other. Like, did you have to preset the parameters to go to one pass versus the other, or how does that work in the simulator?
Mike Barnett can answer this because he has control over Signavio. Nohemy is still trying to get the software. So Mike, you can address
Yeah, Chris, what happens in a simulation, you have to make a choice, you know, and the simulator has to decide. So what you do is set up percentages. So you say to yourself as a process modeler, you know, as a SME about the domain or the business process model, you say, well, you know, 10% of the time it's, you know, an existing OLC, you know, 50% of the time it's a new OLC, and the balance is the other. So you just set up those percentages, and then you would not typically run just one simulation. You'd do a number of runs, and you would gather statistics about the costs and the resources and the times that are accumulated as the model runs. And then you'd have statistical information about your business process that you could use effectively for cost analysis. And that occurs also with the triggers, like, how frequently does this start? So you have to decide on a frequency of those triggers. And then even within the tasks themselves, you can say, well, on average, this cost me, $100 to do this task, but there's a range, there's a distribution of times or costs associated with a task or activity. And you enter that information, and then you get a whole bunch of data that and KPIs that you can use for activity-based costing. And we often talk about the Grand Rapids example where Mike, the guy that was leading the project there, did simulations to compare as is and to be cases, and then was able to go to his managers and show them specifically, very precisely, where the cost savings occur, why they occur, and make a case for the business process improvements that they have in mind.
I just want to mention one thing, the question about how long it took. This is not something that Nohemy was doing full time, number one. I mean, this was, and also it included talking with different people and teams along the way. So it's not something that can, I mean, so the period may be a few months, but it doesn't mean that it's not six, it's not half an FTE. It's just that it takes a little bit of time, as you can see, that many people are involved and many things are going on to gather that information. Would that be correct, Nohemy?
Yeah, that's correct. There were some weeks that I couldn't do anything, but yeah, and yes, I was doing several of this, at the same time. Mm-hmm.
I think another important point there is that I've observed as Nohemy's building this model, she's interacting with the groups, the various people in the swim lanes, and she's making, improvements on the fly. So it's not like you wait 6 months until you can derive value. I think that is, if I get this right, Nohemy, you tell me if it is, you're sort of engaging with people as you go along. You're being more precise about what it is you do. And therefore, you can get better comments and feedback on where things could be improved, and then you implement those. So it's kind of a, automatic continuous improvement cycle that you implemented.
Correct. Yeah. I started with the commissioning assets in BPMN, and it was completely wrong. So I have to redo it because I received a lot of comments that it was not correct. So I had to think, kind of rethink what I was doing and, make it better for sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, Chris still has his hand up, and it's
yeah. I just have a another quick question. So we're very interested in this topic, asset onboarding topic, because we're sort of going through the similar sort of documenting and making improvements to how to identify assets from capital projects and O&M activities, and how to properly name them, how to update documents and all that, right? So on the topic of OLC, we have a similar concept, like we call it a ELN, sorry, the equipment location number. Do you have a standards around OLC, how you name assets depending on the types of assets and where it's located and whatnot?
Yeah, we do. We can talk, definitely. We have a standard.
Right. Yeah. I will probably ask you more questions offline related to the topic. But thank you.
A lot of people are jumping off. Just want to thank Nohemy. It has been such a pleasure to work with her. She's done an amazing job, and very much appreciate. Want to thank the WEF marketing team and all the participants. We will post a video of this for those who couldn't make it. And again, thank you very much, and shoot us an email if you have a question. And have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Cello. Take care.